Hello and welcome to this episode of Stage of the Game.
Yay!
This week you got the full crew.
Yay!
Tony's back!
Yay!
Yeah.
Hello, friends. So,
This week we are
so
discussing...
really quick, I want to see, because I can do this. Look at the light! Look at the fun sun! Look at all the wilderness!
It's overlit out there and underlit in here.
We're recording it while it's still daylight out. I'm home.
That is rare.
While it's
Yes.
still daylight out.
We're all home while it's still
We're
daylight.
not on production schedules. What?
Oh.
What is this? Yeah. I thought that was fun. So yes, what are we talking about, Owen?
This week we're talking about remasters and revivals. So remasters of video games, revivals of shows. Why they're good, why they're bad, and stuff that we want to see done.
Okay.
Right.
Who wants to start?
An excellent
We're
set.
going to start with the good. So let's talk about good revivals of shows that we have seen.
All right, let's talk about Sweeney
I
Todd.
thought you were going there.
Sweeney fucking Todd. Because every time I see another production of that, it's just there's so much innovation going on around it. I mean, there was the Broadway revival that me and Owen talk about all the time because it basically kicked off our love of theater with Patti LuPone and Michael Severus, and it was dark, and they played instruments on stage, and there were buckets of blood, and it was sheer delight.
Literal buckets?
Literal
Yes, it was,
buckets of
And
blood.
whenever someone got their throat cut, they would just pour out a bucket of blood into another bucket, and then there would be a high pitched
That
Yeah.
whistle.
Awesome.
Yeah.
It rocked. But even more recently, and I don't know if you would call this a revival, but I would call it a revival. There's a production of Sweeney Todd at the Barrow Street Theater down in, downtown Manhattan, Lowville, Manhattan,
Lowville.
whatever you call that area. And that production blew my mind. It's in a pie shop, and I won the
Which
lottery,
makes perfect sense.
right? I won lottery with Owen's sister, Bridget, who was visiting me at the time. And it was fucking awesome. Like, I just had such a good time, and it was also super innovative. And we won, immersive seats where you sit in the pie shop, and it was very just delightful and new. And it's super fun to see a show, because this is what I love about revivals, is when you bring something back and you do it new, and there's something new to learn or see, and it's different, and we
Hey,
see
we're
all the
trying
ways
this.
that... Yeah, exactly. And art is, alive in the ways we can make things more relevant or find new fun things to do. And so every production of Sweeney Todd I've seen has been different and super fun. And I appreciate that. And I will say the opposite when we come to bad revivals. But Sweeney Todd, an excellently revivable show.
I think the only revival I actually saw professionally done in New York was Anything Goes. With Joel Grey, Sutton Foster,
Yeah.
and
She won the Tony for that, didn't she?
I think she did. And Joel Grey is just Joel Grey,
Well, yeah.
and you can't go wrong.
Or
But I have his autograph. It's in my office. Which I
Anything
think
Goes is the one on a boat
Yep.
yes,
that gets kind of racist by the end.
it did. It did not in the revival.
That's good. You see,
which is nice.
make things
so
better.
exactly, you make it better, and you kind of have to do that with most Cole Porter. Just make it just a little less. Just take the racism and go away with it.
I saw my cousin Evan was in that, and I remember being like, okay, I get it. This is fun. It's called Porter. And then we got to the end, and I was like, what is happening?
Ooh. I was like,
Please stop. This is a
exactly.
weird ending.
And I honestly only really liked it because it was good. It was really well done, but I liked it because I was just like, it's 80-year-old Joe Grey as a crime boss. Like, come on, as public enemy number one. I was like, no, he's Joe Grey, and it was very cool. But I don't think I've seen any other professional revivals. If you think regional theaters are all just revivals, I've seen a lot of very good regional theater, but I have a lot to say about revivals that should probably never be done. But
Yeah.
we'll
That would be an even more fruitful topic.
let's. Yeah. Well, I'll let Owen talk
Most
about
of the
revivals.
revivals I've seen in New York have been of Sondheim stuff because I
Oh.
never get to see it the first time around. I saw the revival of Follies and Little Night Music as well.
I've seen a number of revivals. Most of the Broadway shows I've seen have been revivals. I mean, that's what my parents would take us to go see growing up, was a lot of revivals. So the first musical I saw was King and I, and then see King and I, Oklahoma.
Speaking of things that can go a little less racist.
Yeah. Amen.
And there's been a lot that were really good. Obviously, Sweeney Todd, which Jesse already said, but Porgy and Bess was really, really good.
Oh my God.
I want to see
South Pacific was really, really good.
Oh, I saw South Pacific. That was very good. I did see that.
Did you see it with Matthew Morrison?
I did.
Yep, that was the one. That was.
Yep.
It was the revival.
Yeah,
that was very good. I did see.
Pandora.
But yeah, Jesse and I saw it. But you were there when we saw Porgy and Bess, right? You came with us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I definitely saw it. I was in Massachusetts first. I saw it in I saw it twice. That's what happened. I saw it once with you guys in New York and once at the ART while I was in college because it was like required and it was like the best assignment of my life.
Yeah. It was Porgy and Bess with Norm Lewis and Audra McDonald. What's not to love?
Yeah, you just can't go wrong.
So it was really, really good.
Yes, it was. A perfect human
but
angel.
this technically isn't regional theater because it's a touring production, but I guess it started at regional theater. But a really good revival that I saw that, like Jesse said, I want to focus on something that did like a really good interpretation of it was Into the Woods with I think it's Fiasco.
Oh my God! Yeah, I saw that. Sorry, Ed McCarter. Yeah. That was so freaking good.
I saw that same production. It was started at McCarter, and then it did a couple of regional theaters, and then it went on tour. Right. I saw it when I was on tour.
I saw it at McCarter, ironically, since you worked there.
That's before I worked there, but yes, it's really good production. Very, so good. It was minimalistic and like so innovative the way they did things and changed things around, and it worked so well.
Yeah, it super did. And it's just so much fun to think about, like, what you can do when you really think about it. Like, I did Into the Woods before that in college, and one of the things I was trying to do was, like, double it down. And I was like, this is the lowest possible number of casting we could do. And they did it with, like, 8 people? Mm-hmm. It's just, like, you get so creative, and there are solutions to every problem. And, like, not only are they fixing problems, but they're, like, better than if you were just like, I have 62 people. Mm-hmm. They were so smart. It was great.
Doing like minimalist like productions that seem to like still do justice to them, do such a high quality. I'll say another one. When we saw St. Joan at McCarter,
oh my God,
with the Bedlam Theater Company, there was only 4 people doing St. Joan, and it was so good.
So freaking good! It's one of the best things I've ever seen. I was so moved by it. They killed it. It was so funny and so like relevant, and it's such an old play, and they made it like for now. And I was shocked. I thought I was like, oh, free ticket from Owen, sure. What else am I doing with my life? I left like forever changed.
Jesse and Morgan we were playing board games, and Anne Marie, who was still working there at times, like, hey, I got free comps for opening night of St. John. You want to come tonight? I was like, sure. So we went, and it was so good. I had no idea because I know. God, I'm blanking on the playwright's name. Why am I doing this?
Because he's like a million years old and who remember.
Oh God, why can't I?
To the Google.
Go, no playwright.
George Bernard Shaw.
Oh
my God! Was it really Shaw?
Yeah, it was Shaw.
Oh.
We should have remembered.
Oh, yeah, that's why I was like, I hate myself. But oh God, don't judge us, theater people.
I'm sorry.
So bad. If you've watched previous episodes, you know I have a terrible memory for these things, especially when put on the spot. But yes, it's George Bernard Shaw, and obviously his stuff is very dated at this point. But like they made it so it was so good. It was just so good.
Yeah, and they were so good at doubling.
Yeah.
There was one scene where they just like it was like person like 1, 2, 3 actors, and they would just switch characters, and they would embody that character so much they could just switch, and we knew exactly who they were. They were basically showing off, and it like worked so fucking well. They were ridiculously talented. I had such a good time, and it was.
And they also did this in rep with Hamlet, so they had to memorize so many lines. So props to those actors.
It was crazy. And we sat on like the stage,
Yeah.
and they would like kick us out every act and rearrange the seats.
Mhm.
It was super fun.
One
And
of them
you'd be
got
like,
in
"Ooh,
my
what if
face for one comment. I can't remember what they said, but it was like
It was at, I think, the trial. They were, and we
they
were
asked
just
me a
like,
question.
in
I
the
was
crowd.
like, leave me alone. But still, so good.
And I could see you really hating audience participation. Just as a person, be like, don't talk
Oh
to
my God,
me.
That's my call.
Excellent
Great
picks.
revival.
And I think that like that's what makes a good revival, because especially when you're dealing with really, really old plays, like you have to be able to take them through time to now and make sure they still work and make sure they're still relevant, or make them relevant.
Mm-hmm.
Because if they're not, it takes us to bad revivals. I'll go first.
Yeah.
Can I go first? So
Please.
hey. So I think I already talked about this because but I'm still viscerally mad about it, guys. Travesties is revived on Broadway. I can't get over it. I'm still angry. I'm so angry. It was so bad. It was like, and everybody loves it but me. I mean, like all the critics are raving. It's nominated for Tonys. Somebody who's seen it and loves it, explain it to me, because I felt like I was trapped in like an archaic library where like an elderly white man was lecturing me on nothing.
Well, it's nothing
It was
against
so-
the production. It's clearly just the show. You
That's
and
just the show.
you both think the show is stupid and unnecessary.
Exactly. That's all it is. And they can't save it. Like they couldn't save it with this production. Great acting, great set. I applaud everybody. Roundabout, I work for them. I love and respect them. But look, I just don't think this play needs to be seen right now. And they couldn't connect it to now, probably because there's nothing there.
Because there's nothing to connect.
It's literally
to
not
now.
about anything. Like they acknowledge that in the script. And so maybe some people like that, but I just felt like it was so pretentious and so unnecessary. And I felt trapped and like I needed to leave immediately.
If you
I
don't
want
know
out.
what Travesties is, Tony, it's Tom Stoppard's really fucked up version of The Importance of Being Earnest.
Oh God, I did not know that.
Except the importance of being earnest is at least about like couples, you know? And this is about like an old man trying to remember a time he was in a production of
And then-
The Importance of
yeah,
Being
and then
Earnest.
There's like
with people with-
Dadaism, and then there's a whole
That's so much.
backstory that takes place in like Tsarist Russia. And,
Yeah.
Oh God,
And it's
that's
just
so
like
much.
a lot and nothing at all. And I kept waiting for something to happen, and nothing happened. And I
Carter
just
did
felt
a production
this
of
is where
this
rich people
back
come,
in-
like snack on crumpets and laugh at the poor. And I needed to leave, and I did leave at intermission. And it was the best choice I've ever made. I can say with confidence, having not seen Act 2, because I would have died.
The only show I know people have left from are on Broadway at least is Bullets Over Broadway,
Oh, what was that?
That was at the.
the musical. Sorry, so it was.
Is that with the Woody Allen?
It was a Woody Allen script with just
Oh.
like timely music.
Yeah, Zach Braff
And
was in that.
Zach Braff was in it. Yeah, and I love Zach Braff. So I was like, oh really? And he goes, no, it was horrible. He goes, I absolutely hated it. And I was like, but Zach Braff. And he goes like, nope, it's absolutely horrible. And
I wanted
I-
Travis
yeah.
to be good. I wanted it to, I had a free ticket, and I went on one of my rare free evenings. We don't want these shows to be terrible. They just
yes, let us reiterate that we want
We
this
don't
to be.
want that bad
hate
theater to exist because it
me.
makes our jobs harder when bad
yeah, and,
theater
then,
exists.
and that was almost what made me the angriest. Was like you think about somebody who's never seen like a theatrical production before, and they accidentally walk into Travesties, and now that's what they think theater is. That's not what theater is today. If I saw Travesties, if Travesties was my first show I ever saw, I would never return to the theater. I would like revile it as an art form and think it was like the most pretentious, irrelevant bullshit. And that's why it's important not to redo bullshit. I just anyway. Tony, please go.
There are shows that I think should be revived. Like Color Purple absolutely deserve to be revived. Once on This Island absolutely deserve to be
Yes.
revived. Dolly never needs to be done again by anybody. I don't care who's starring in it. I don't. It is the Dolly is a device for famous people of now a certain age to play roles that they couldn't play until they got to be a certain age. And they're actors I love, but also you can play other roles. Please play other roles and never do Dolly again.
Yeah, I saw that production, the revival of Dolly with Bernadette Peters. And it was a great experience because I ran into Stephen Sondheim in the lobby, by which I mean I saw him and screamed internally and I did not approach him. But I saw him in the real world, so that was great.
So that still counts.
Did you take a picture? Someone took a picture.
I took a picture.
Blurry picture.
A really creepy picture that came out really funny. You can see it on my Instagram of Sturgeon Sternherm. The quality left something to be desired, but the important thing is we breathe the same air. So nothing could have ruined that for me.
So shut up, Owen.
Oof. I know I've told this story before, but I'm going to tell it again to rub salt in Jesse's wounds.
Yes, please. Please.
As she mentioned, she got to see the production of Into the Woods at McCarter, which is amazing. The next day from when they saw it, Stephen Sondheim was there. The literal next day.
Yes, that's true, and I did repress it, although now it's coming back to me.
It's coming back, and now I'm very, very sad.
I just love it. That
clearly, I have
so
no
much.
ability to approach him, so what's the difference? I saw him.
I can make you even more angry and let you know that I still don't really like Into the Woods.
Yeah, but I respect people's ability to not like something.
I just don't. I love Sondheim. I just don't like Into the Woods.
It's allowed. I love Into the Woods, but you don't have to. That's the nice thing about art. And some people take it like really seriously in that way, where like you have to like what I like, but I don't feel that way. Like what you like. Don't let anybody tell you what to like, and don't let anybody tell you what not to like. And you don't always even need a fucking reason.
I just a little backstory. I gave my upper school students, whose play's been over for like a month, I gave them an assignment. It was inspired by this year's Tonys coming out. So I gave them each a year and said, this year's Tonys are, but
we'll do that in another episode. But.
Yeah, right. That'll be closer. But I gave them an assignment and I gave them each a year and said, here's the 4 that got nominated, 5 in 2015. I said, here's the 4 that got nominated. Look them up, learn their music, and decide if you think that should have won. And it was inspired because I was having a conversation. It was inspired because Avenue Q beat Wicked. And there was a big debate amongst a lot of people saying Wicked's still running and Avenue Q closed like 2 months after it won, which is true. It closed on Broadway. It went off Broadway. But there was a kid in my class today who thought Mary Poppins should have won over Spring Awakening. And there was I know.
You threw him out to the wolf.
I was just kind of like,
you were like,
opinions.
It's an art, but this is a wrong answer, and get the fuck out of my classroom.
But there was a revolt. I felt really bad for this girl. It was just because people were like, nope, you're wrong. I was just like, but it's like she's entitled to her opinion, but also
but also you're right.
But that was such a good production.
I mean, it was just, and it was the original and all that stuff.
Yeah,
but someone thought Newsies should have won over Once, and that was debatable. I mean, Once is a pretty lame story, but the music is gorgeous. No. Someone who had 2004 was Spamalot, Lay the Piazza. 2004 was really hard. Spelling Bee. And there was another one, like another really hard one. And I was just like, oh, man, I gave you a really hard year. But then, like, 2015 was Hamilton, and I was like, don't make it an easy choice. Give actual reasons why. And she did. I was like, okay. But still.
I love that assignment, though. I want to be in your class.
It was pretty fun. We had a good time that day. People who actually took it seriously had a lot of fun with it. So, bam. Don't do Dolly, is what I have to say.
And, I didn't not enjoy Dolly because it was such a good production, but I do tend to agree that there are some shows that are just not relevant right now. And theater, I think more than ever, has a responsibility to be mostly relevant where we can. And there are a lot of revivals out right now, aren't there? They're reviving My Fair Lady is coming to Lincoln Center.
I've heard
Carousel.
My Fair Lady. A friend of mine who works for Sam French gets to see all these shows basically for free, and I hate her for it. But she got to see My Fair Lady, and she said I went in expecting to hate it, and she loved it.
I've heard that too about it.
Yeah.
And I've heard they've tried to modernize it, although I've heard both on one hand that they've tried to modernize it to give Eliza more agency, and I've heard on the other hand that they modernized it just by allowing Henry Higgins to not be like 30 years older than her. So they closed the age gap, and I was like, oh, is that all you did? But until I see
there's
it...
also, the last words are, where are my slippers?
Yeah.
Which, basically.
Yeah, it is. It's a problematic sort of thing.
Yeah.
And so you wonder, is there a way? And I would be very curious to see it. But good luck getting that ticket. Yeah. Carousel came back as another one where I haven't seen Carousel, but the music I've heard makes me angry. The lyrics they seem really sexist. And so I wonder like how you reverse that. Well, you know, like he's singing about his...
He beats you because he loves you.
Yeah, there's that too.
I figured nowadays if they revive it, they understand, hey, this is really outdated. It's like the same thing as if you try to do a Taming of the Shrew. It's you got to be like, hey.
Hope so.
Yeah.
The Taming of the Shrew is never a play that I've seen.
Well, also to be fair, I just closed a middle school production of Grease.
Yes, you did.
Because I had to.
Yes, because
I inherited that. Put up a fight? As in, did you rape her?
Yes, that is.
They cut that line, thankfully.
Good.
That's good. That's a good.
But
did Sandy still change for her man? Because that's what's important. Keeping your man.
The way we directed it out was, I can be as strong as anybody else. Was the way I tried to spin it. It was just that I'm tired of being walked on. Is I'm changing because I need to prove to them how strong I am. And I tried. She was.
You do what you can. You do what you can with the material you have, and that's always, I guess, the trick of bringing something back, right? Is like, can I make it better? Can I make it relevant? Or are we just going to do it again when it's not its time anymore?
Right. Are we going to do it again because it's everybody's happy because we get a show?
Exactly. It's safe.
That's
it's a safe
going to bring me to the revival that I have a big problem with. And this is a show that pretty much, I'm not going to say what it is yet because I'm going to get instant reactions from you guys, and I want to save that.
Now I'm curious.
I was going to say I'm gunning now.
It's a show that like pretty much, if it's done anywhere, it's pretty much you keep it the same. Same choreography, same costumes, everything is done a specific way, which sucks because, like we were talking about, like we like when they change things and modernize and make it innovative and do things like that. But personally, that's why I have a problem when people revive or do productions of Cats.
Oh, well, you can't polish a pile of garbage.
One, it's not relevant. It's never relevant. It's never been relevant. It never will be relevant.
It was never once relevant.
It's just Cats, and it's like, not even Cats because if you released Cats in a theater, I would enjoy that more. Truly, I would. But more.
The thing that really bothers me is that, like, literally, like, people go from place to place playing this role because they know the choreography, they know the role, and it has to be done that way. The costume designs are always the same. So if you say, like, oh, I designed Cats, I mean, you need to literally copy the original designs and then wrote it down a piece of paper. I could do the original design because I could, like, okay, here are the original designs. Take them. I designed it. Done.
Yeah, do we know if they're like required to do it that way?
I'm pretty sure they are.
Someone
who's worked on a production, I'm pretty sure they are. I'm pretty sure you just the choreography. It's like what happens with a Disney when you do a Disney show.
Yeah,
everything has to be done.
All the costumes are the same.
Disney is literally going to fine you if you do anything different. Costumes, choreography is required. I did a community theater production of High School Musical. The choreography was the exact same choreography you saw in the show, in the movie version, because it literally has to be the same. And that's what I hate. It gives no artistic interpretation. It's just like, okay, we did this, let's take it and regurgitate it over there. with
Right,
different
because
people.
that's not what theater is. Like, go make a movie if you always want to watch exactly the same thing.
Exactly.
Theater's got to be alive and change and breathe. And Cats is my least favorite fucking musical of all time.
Bingo.
Like, by a large amount.
And that's why I didn't say Cats off the top, because I knew you were going to say, like,
We
oh, it's
would-
terrible. I wanted to bring up the reasons why I don't like revival of it.
You're so right.
'Cause
And
it
that's
just
so
did get
true
revived,
about
and it
this
didn't
shows
do
that you
well.
can't
Because I was like,
yeah.
oh, people went and saw it, and then realized... Because they revived it, like, after, like, things like Hamilton had come out, and they're like, oh, that's theater. This is weird.
Yeah, I just have a friend, actually, my friend Sarah, who just saw Cats because they were doing it in her community. And she called me and she was like, Jesse, I don't know if I know it's like a really popular play, but like, what do you think of Cats? And I was like, oh, well, I hate it. I think it's garbage. And she was like, oh, cool. I'm not alone. I just thought there was something wrong with me because it's so popular, but
Yeah.
nothing happened.
I was given the best advice going into it.
Yes,
And
your
this was given to me by someone who was in the show. So if you go into it thinking it's a ballet, you will enjoy it so much more. And I did. I didn't love it,
Ooh,
but I actually thought
that's not bad.
it made so
I
much
do
more
think that's
sense as
good
a ballet than a
advice.
musical. If you go into thinking it's going to be a musical, you can be like, okay, what the fuck is this bullshit? This is not a musical.
It's
Get it off the stage.
That is a nice way
as
of
a
thinking
ballet,
about it.
ballet, it works so much better.
I think that's super
'Cause
fair.
half the
And
thing
if
about
I
it is
liked
the dancing
Cats
and the movement
10%
behind
more, I
it.
would go back and see it thinking like that. Because some things are just not musicals, which is true. And if you think about them differently.
And no knocks to Andrew
You're
Lloyd
not-
Webber because he's a musical genius, and I appreciate all the work he's done. But,
Cats is like him using his power for evil, because if you even say the words Jellicle Cats, that fucking insidious music is drilled into your brain. You're all hearing it right now, aren't you? Because I am. It sucks. I hate it. It's the worst. It melts your brain.
Now,
That's
before we
like
get
when
onto this
he
tangent
turns
and
the dark
talk
side.
about forever how we don't like cats, let's move on to video games.
Yes, please, thank you.
Video games.
Hey, remasters that we like. Actually, no, let's talk about remasters that didn't need to happen first.
Oh, it didn't
Let's
need to
start-
happen. Okay.
Yeah.
Does all of the different ways you can play Skyrim count?
Talk about it.
They're gonna put it on a calculator next. Just make a new game. Like where everybody wants an actual Elder Scrolls that isn't Elder Scrolls Online, because they heard wrong. Someone put in Bethesda's ear that everyone wants to be able to play Elder Scrolls with their friends. No, we want to play by ourselves.
We're lonely antisocial
lonely.
creatures.
If I could play Skyrim with my friends, sure, why not? You just add a multiplayer patch to Skyrim, sure, why the fuck not? But this was not that.
This is not what we wanted.
And
And
someone Skyrim
someone
VR
lied
is
to you.
not something we wanted either.
No, I mean that's not fair. I know a lot of people who wanted that, but that's not what. That's not it. I mean, I got a Switch, if I didn't say that here, and I love it. I love it to death. I cannot bring myself to buy Skyrim again. I got it for the 360, I got it for the Xbox, and I have it on my computer, and I'm not buying it again. I can't. I cannot spend, and at full price, I can't spend another $60
That's the only
again.
reason I just bought the new remastered Skyrim for my Xbox One is because it was half price. I'm like, okay, I'll buy. I'm getting rid of my 360.
Yeah,
I'm getting this
fucking
at half price.
fine.
I'll finally buy. I'll buy it now because it's a good price. I wasn't paying another full price for Skyrim again. I wasn't doing that because this will be the third time I've bought it because I bought it digitally. That file got corrupted, so I had to go buy a physical version for my Xbox 360. So this is the third time I bought it.
Just not doing it.
Yeah.
And I mean, there's that, and just we love the game. We're over it. It's been almost like 10 years. It's been out forever. Just stop it. Anyway, continue.
I have an obscure one that I didn't love, which is when I was a kid. You probably know this game. My PlayStation friends, but when I was a kid, I loved Banjo-Kazooie.
I'll give you
And
that.
Banjo-Tooie, I really enjoyed that, and I always wanted them to bring it back somewhere, and they did.
Yeah.
It's the
But
rare-
as
the
Nuts
rare
and
replay.
Bolts,
Well,
where
that
it
was-
sort of became about like a vehicle, and so I only got to play it once because I no longer have the systems. Or did they switch the system? It was something weird. My cousin had it, and it just wasn't everything I hoped for. It didn't have like the same charm of the old game. It was trying to be something else, and I wish they were a little truer to at least like the style of play.
Mm-hmm.
But I always thought that was a great game, really like snarky and fun world play.
And they tried that kind of with. They made Ukulele, which is the fan-made essential version of
That's right, I heard
Banjo-Kazooie.
that.
But ultimately, people were not happy because they said they pretty much said they didn't change anything about the old game. It's
Yeah,
exactly
and you've
the
got to
same-
do both, right? You've got to like
They
it's got to
didn't
be
make it
new,
better.
but it's got to be better.
Yeah, that's the problem.
And
They
you don't
didn't
want it to
make the
be
mechanics
about-
any better. They didn't. They just made the graphics better, essentially. With
And
new
there's a lot of
characters and
room
story.
for improvement. In
Yeah.
Banjo-Kazooie, when you go back and play it, as I did once on my 64, and I was like, okay, but what is this? Why is it so slow, and why is everyone made out of triangles, though? Because they weren't in my memories. Yeah, so it's a fine line of like I don't want a racing game if I played an adventure game, but I do want new content and updated controls.
They did kind of remaster it. They pseudo remastered it in the rare replay. So it was like 16 rare games.
That's good.
And I enjoyed it. But
yeah, it's full of just happy memories for me.
Exactly.
And some of those worlds are so fun. The carnival world and the sledding world with that polar bear and those fucking presents, like just iconic shit here.
Now, mine is not technically a remaster at all, but it's a thing I have a problem with, and that is taking one game, changing a couple things here, and putting it out as a brand new game, which is what they do with pretty much every sports game that comes out and pretty much half of the Call of Duty games. And Call of Duty's gotten better about that and like changing things and making things better.
They've acknowledged
but the sports games, I call bullshit. People who play full price for those things every single year, it really annoys me. I mean, do what you do if you're going to play with your friends and whatnot, but it's just you get a couple new players here and there, and you get like all updates. But is it that much better? Is it really that much better?
Yeah, that's fair.
Especially these sports games have so many microtransactions, and
they do now.
Yeah, fuck microtransactions.
Which the whole thing with it just seems so expensive and annoying.
And
like,
money
okay,
grabbing.
I want to have the most updated team, which means I need to buy an entirely new game. Year after year, this happens.
Yeah, we're too poor for that shit.
Yeah. I have one copy of Madden. I have like Madden 2009, which I almost never play, but I'm not going to invest in a new one.
No, God no. Yeah, absolutely not. I used to get it as a kid when my team was good. A year that my team was good, and then I was like, wait, no, this is dumb. No.
Yeah, if I was going to invest in a new copy, it would be like 2013, which is the year after the Ravens won the Super Bowl.
Yeah, where everyone was expecting them to be good.
Bam, 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 bam. Ravens. But yeah, seriously, I don't understand the hype. I get that, mainly I guess people do it because their friends are getting it and they want to play with their friends and the new updates and what. And there's occasional changes to story mode. I know that last year's Madden had some big story mode with the guy who won the Oscar from.
We don't know either.
Again, I'm gonna look it up because I'm gonna hate myself if I don't.
Jellicle cats are jellicle cats.
My internet sucks. Why?
Yeah, my internet was bad until yesterday when one of my excellent good roommates called some sort of internet man, and then he twisted a wire, and now it's fucking golden, and everything's amazing forever.
And he twisted a wire.
I feel like he literally was like, shh, try it now. And we were like, hallelujah.
That's amazing.
I told him he was a hero and a genius. He was like, what? And I was like, I love you.
I don't think you understand.
Saved my life. Didn't know things could be this good.
I'm gonna butcher this name, but Mahershala Ali He won Oscar for his role in Moonlight.
Oh,
He
yeah,
was
yeah.
in the last Madden story game. I think he played either the father or one of the coaches or something like that. But he
That's
did that contract
Yeah.
before he won the Oscar. But still,
That is pretty cool.
That's pretty cool. But still, again, I don't get the hype behind buying one every single year. Not
No.
much
Yeah.
changes. You get a
Go
few
out of
price,
your way.
Whatever.
Mhm.
Yeah, no, thank you.
Let's talk about good remasters.
Yes. I am uber hyped for the Spyro remaster.
I know a lot of
I've
people were
missed-
super excited for it. As soon as they
I've
got
missed Spyro so much.
As soon as they got Crash Bandicoot remastered, people were like, "Okay, but when Spyro was going to be remastered? Seriously, what the fuck? When's Spyro going to be remastered? He has to be next, right?"
And he is. He is. Like,
Yay,
I'm so
dreams
excited.
come true.
Because they put him in the fucking Skylanders. And I'm like, no, come back. Like, let him do his own thing. Come on. That's what Spyro would 100% be like Pokemon for me. I would play it until I die if they keep making new ones. I
mean,
love
they
Spyro.
probably won't. This is why they're making a remaster.
No,
but-
I'm just like, hey, shut up. Play the old ones. We're done with it. But I will. I'm going to play them so hard. Anyway. There's even just speaking again to the Switch, the Donkey Kong Wii U game they put out for Switch. I got it, and it's awesome. It's so fun. It's just a Donkey Kong side scroller, and I'm highly enjoying myself.
Yeah, that stuff is fun.
Yeah.
You know, my pick for remastered sort of video game is from back when I was younger and I had the GameCube, and that became like my system that I lived for and with. And they released this like Zelda pack that it was one disc, and on that disc was the original Zelda, which was awesome, and Link's Adventure, which sucks balls, but you just skip that one. Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask, as well as like a sneak peek of Wind Waker back when that was coming out. And I played like 1,000,000 hours on that, and it was just so fun to play like flat Zelda on my cube, like on the screen with the controller I was so comfortable with. And it was so nice just to step it up, like even Ocarina of Time, which you guys know is one of my fondest games, just to have it like made new and made for this, and like so much easier to get back into.
One of the best games ever.
So true, and I loved that 4-pack little CD, and I played 1,000,000 hours on it, and it rocked. And I wish they'd do it again, except that I don't even have a system I can play it on now.
Well,
but I would probably buy it. If
I'm
they
giving
did.
you a system this weekend, Jesse.
That's true, and I can't wait. I'm so excited, and you're super nice. But I certainly couldn't play Zelda on it.
No, unfortunately not.
Well, they
But I
remastered.
will play video games.
Nintendo's remastering a lot now too. They're bringing back some of their old stuff. They did all the original Pokemon games into Gen 2.
Are they going to bring back Pokemon Snap? Because I would like to see that remastered.
I want that hardcore. I want Mario Sunshine.
Yes, that
remastered.
can rock.
It did. It was so
I
hard.
never thought a
but
game
I want
in which you have to clean shit would be like so
that
freaking
much fun. But it is so much fun.
It's amazing. I would kill to play that again. So
I
good.
want Wind Waker. They remastered Wind Waker for the Wii U.
I love
but
Wind Waker. I was
but I
just
want it for
thinking
the
I would love.
Switch.
I was say people want it for the Switch because people are like, I missed
Yeah.
it for the Wii U because I didn't buy a Wii U.
Because no one, bring it for
no
the
one
Switch.
did.
We all actually have those. Because no one wanted the Wii U. No one wanted the Wii U. But then, even then, the Nintendo could have negative profits for the next like 200 years and still be okay, which is ridiculous.
But it's true.
But it's true. So there's a lot I want to see, but
Yeah. I'm back.
For me, remasters. I mean, there's not a lot of remastered games that I've played. Skyrim is. Like I said, I got it because I needed a new copy of it, and it's a good remaster of it. I mean, Skyrim will always be there. I literally just started a new campaign in Skyrim 2 days ago. It's completely different from any campaign I've ever done.
and you've already spent 6 hours on it.
Yeah.
Just that's how it works.
Yeah, no, but in terms of remasters that I like, I don't know. The fact that they just made this isn't the remaster, but the fact that they just made the OG Star Wars Battlefronts backwards compatible for Xbox made me so happy.
Yeah.
Because the new ones didn't cut it.
They did not. They made EA
Although I haven't
lose
played
the
the
license.
second one, and I'm still never going to buy it because fuck EA, and I'm not giving them my money.
EA lost the license.
But,
So
yeah, no, the fact that they brought those back, this is the reason that I'm getting rid of my 360 because I don't need them anymore. I don't need it anymore. It's the reason I kept it so I could play those games, and the fact that I can play them again on my nice Xbox 360.
on the nice one.
Yes,
And we all benefit.
It's so good. I love it. And going back to playing them, like, oh my god, they still hold up. They still hold up.
Yeah.
The graphics suck, but they still hold up.
Yeah, it's so true.
This is all
They're
I
still so much
wanted.
fun.
This is all I wanted with the new games.
Yeah, sometimes it's hard to beat the old ones. They were great. And you just wish they were graphically now in a way that my eyes could still parse. Because I remember looking at Ocarina of Time on the Nintendo 64 and thinking, like, wow, incredible. Look
Wow,
at this sweeping
nothing-
shot.
Nothing will
And-
ever get better.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then you go back and you're like,
They try and play it again.
What?
Like, I can't see.
what is this? Is this me?
When I-
And
when
you're
I-
like, I'm looking at the same thing.
When I get back, and I'm going to New York at some point. I'm going to be back for the entire month of June. I'm going to
Maybe
go to New
Tony
York.
and I will finally meet in person.
Maybe. But I should bring my Switch and show you Breath of the Wild.
Don't do it, you'll
You might actually cry.
I will,
It's-
because I
it's
played it once with my
so-
cousin, and I actually cried.
Yep,
and we
it's so
kept him
good.
hostage at our house until 5 a.m. because I couldn't stop. He's a real good sport. Shout out to Evan.
It's so good and just a time waste. And like I beat quote unquote the main campaign, but there's just so much I didn't do.
Yeah, because you can go immediately, right? Like after you do the intro.
Oh, so, yeah, you can do
And
the
if
you
you
can do, like, the
can,
main
it's
campaign
so
in, like
hard.
2 hours.
Yeah, it would be
apparently.
super hard.
It's
But you're
so
good.
so hard, but you could do it.
Yeah,
you can
it
technically
did
win.
make
You
me-
can technically win with a branch. You don't need to. You don't
You're
need
a
to.
talented branch wielder. No, I loved that 2 to 8 hour period of my life because it felt like everything I ever wanted Zelda to be. It felt like Zelda for my current age, not
It's a
sentimental.
Zelda open world. And,
Yeah,
like,
with so much, and there's so much detail and so much you can do, and it felt amazing. So good. If I had the money to buy a Switch, I would. One day.
One day.
One of these plays has got to take off, and then I'm getting a Switch.
I'm waiting for the E3 to see what they announce. Rumor is they're announcing Pokemon.
Pokemon.
And if they do, I'm gonna be like, okay, well, I held out as long as I could. Just take my money.
well,
It's time.
Just burn my credit
It
card.
is-
Like, well, it's been nice,
It's-
but I told myself this is what was going to happen. I specifically, I've mentioned it many times on the podcast that I would buy one when they announced Pokemon, and so
and they're gonna. I figured I would get ahead of the game.
Smart.
But-
It's gonna bug me because I won't be able to buy it at a GameStop because my closest GameStop's an hour and a half away.
you're not going to get the points.
I know. And they have like I might still and then just go. Like, you know what? I'm going for a trip. It depends on when it comes out.
Yeah.
So. But. Oh yeah.
But speaking of things we want, let's talk about games and shows we want to remastered and revived. Bleh.
Revivaled. I heard you.
Which first games or shows?
Let's do games first.
What's what you said?
There's quite a few. I want the Jedi Knight games to be remastered.
Ooh, fun.
And the Knights of the Old Republic
Well,
games to be remastered.
they're another game that just got, well, at least they got remastered. They got backwards compatible for Xbox.
compatible, yeah. They released, this was a couple months ago now, but the game has been out for like a decade, and they just put in a patch on Steam. Like, they gave it a patch like to work better, which I thought was really cool. And it showed that at least someone somewhere was caring enough about it and realized that people still play it. I just want a third one. So, because I want to know what happens in the story. But like the Jedi Knight games they don't run on my computer. I have them on Steam and they won't run because they're so low. Another one just going back that did get remastered and this is a really obscure franchise, Ty the Tasmanian Tiger. And it was a game I had on GameCube, and I had both of them. And they made a third or fourth, and they put it on Steam, and it is awesome. It was everything that I wanted it to be, because I was like, this is nostalgia to the max, and it really was. But there's quite a few that I would like remastered. It's basically all of them are for nostalgia's sake. I want to see it again. Play it again.
It's true. Nostalgia's strong.
Mm-hmm. Especially
it just feels so good.
I'd love to see. Well, I'd love this, and this is gonna sound bad because the game's not that old. But I'd love to see Left 4 Dead 2 remastered, just because if they're never gonna, if they're not gonna make a third one, remaster the ones, make them nicer, and make it so that the mainly, if do nothing else, make the servers for the Xbox better, because playing online now just sucks. It really sucks. They still maintain the PC the servers, because that's where so many of the community is, but that's not where my community is. I've always been Left 4 Dead is what got me into Xbox, and so I'll always play on the Xbox, and so the Xbox servers just suck. So I want them to remaster it, mainly so that they'll go back and fix the servers.
That's fair.
I'd love for them to remaster the old Star Wars Battlefronts and clean them up a bit, clean up the graphics and stuff like that, and make the controls a little better. That would be awesome. I'd love to have remastered versions of old school James Bond games. If they remastered 007 GoldenEye, that would be fucking awesome. Not like the crappy version that came out, like 007 GoldenEye Unlimited, which wasn't really the same exact. They made it like it was not the same game at all. They gave it the same name, but in like pretty much the same maps and characters, but it wasn't the same game because they made it. It was not the same. It's not a remaster. They rebranded it something else. But if they remastered like 007 Nightfire and stuff like that, that'd be awesome.
Ooh, another one. I'm going hardcore because you said Golden. You said GoldenEye, and it made me think N64. Snowboard Kids.
Shut up! Snowboard Kids rocked.
It was so good.
I can still hear the fucking music.
I know. I want it. I want it back in my life.
So play that. I spent 1 million hours in my basement.
And it was my sister and I played snowboard.
And my brother and I, and sometimes my cousin. Yeah.
It is
good pick. Oh, it's
$66 on Amazon right now.
What the fuck? At least
just a quick Google search.
Oh, it's been so long.
Mainly Nintendo's come out with the NES Classic and the NSES Classic. They need to come out with the N64 Classic.
Yeah, they do.
I will give you any amount of money for that.
I will pre-order that nonsense so quick.
Yeah. Oh, will I?
Yeah. Diddy Kong Racing, $477.
Are you kidding me? Maybe I should look in my basement for some of these.
I need to. Now that you're talking about like old school games, I'm thinking like old school PC games that like Hot Wheels Racing. Those games were so good. Nicktoons Racing were so good. I love to have those back.
All of those nonsense games,
stupid games that were just like fun to play with, like when I was a kid. I want back because I just have so many fun memories of.
Yeah. Or what about like a new version with more actual gameplay of like the Oregon Trail? How fun would that be?
Modern Oregon Trail that's like super violent.
Yeah, where you die, but you see it a little more. Like it's more than 6 pixels.
Oh my god!
Rattlesnake.
It's dysentery.
If
you're gonna caulk your wagon or ford the river.
If BioWare came out with their version of Oregon Trail,
that'd be fun. I would play the hell out of that.
If you
somebody steal this idea and just make it happen,
please. If you bought Diddy Kong Racing, Donkey Kong 64, and Super Mario 64, you would spend almost $1,000.
That's insane. For what? Like the cartridges?
Yeah.
Okay, I probably have those though. Somewhere. I'll go check. I'm going home this weekend. I have a box of old.
The original Paper Mario is $300.
That's ridiculous. I have Paper Mario.
Pokemon Stadium 2 is $300.
Jesus.
You can
Oh
make
my
some
God.
money.
I have-
I
Jesse.
could
I was
sell
gonna say,
these
I
old
have-
games and then buy a Switch, is what you're saying.
Well, that's the
Dr.
reason
Marcus.
my family has hung on to all our Disney VHSs, because one
Yeah.
day one of us is going to go bankrupt and we're going to take that collection and sell it on
That's what
eBay.
you do. I'll check and see what I have, but I swear to God, I definitely have Mario 64, Donkey Kong 64, Paper Mario. Maybe I can't find Diddy Kong Racing, but I used to play that. Let's see. I'll take a look. I'm home in New Jersey this weekend.
There
Still
you
really
go.
fun. Okay.
I will await with bated breath for you.
I'll send
I'll
you
be
guys
very-
pics. We can put
Like,
them on our
ooh, look.
page.
We can sell. That's what this podcast will turn into. selling our possessions.
It's an infomercial now.
Okay, as we're getting to 50 minutes at this point, let's end with shows we want to see revived.
I'll go because I had an argument about this one. Scottsboro Boys.
Oh, that's
really
right.
want to see
I would love-
Scottsboro Boys to be.
Yes. Good pick.
It's
only getting more relevant as every day's by.
Exactly, and it got so overshadowed by Book of Mormon. So this year would have been perfect because the musicals this year are. Well,
Again, we'll talk
just
about
like-
that in another
like type,
podcast.
Yeah, that's another podcast. I have a lot to say.
We have a lot to say about that. We'll talk about it another time.
So, but
pick,
yes,
though.
absolutely, I want to see that done again because I saw it in London and I was like, oh my God, I had no idea this was a thing in the States. So I had no idea it was even on or what it was. So yeah, and now I wouldn't. Anyway, your turn.
I've said this before. I'd love to see a production of Seascape by Edward Albee. Just because I want to see a production of it. It's my favorite play that I've read and never seen a production of. And so I would just absolutely love to see a production of it done like at high quality. And it's just so good. And and ultimately it's minimalist, and it's still relevant to today's society, and the language around it's just so good. I've talked so much about this show on this podcast, so I don't need to tell you how much I love it, but that's what I would love to see a revival of.
Yeah.
Someone do it.
Yeah.
Someone
Somebody watch
please.
this and do it for us. Yeah, I also would just pick my favorite musical, which actually they did do recently at the Huntington again for the first one in a long time, which is Merrily We Roll Along. I just can't see it enough. It's hard to find, and I'd love to see it on Broadway again, done like even better. And I wonder, although probably not, but while we have Sondheim here still with us, if there's a way to like unmire it from the years it's in to make it like less 80s and just let it be now. I mean, half the songs are literally like 1981, 1982. But if there's a way, I think it would translate well to now.
He lets Sweeney Todd be a metal version.
Yeah, I know.
He
He's
let
flexible.
that gender swap version of
Company, yeah,
Company,
exactly. So now, I feel like now's the time. Like, let's chat about it because it's only going to get more, like, less relevant as we go through time. And it's my favorite, and I love it, and I just want it all the time. But yeah, I'd always love to see that again.
Well, thank you for listening to our ramblings.
Yes.
Back next week. hopefully.
This was pretty rambly.
Yeah.
You like to ramble.
We'll be back next week with another episode. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see y'all next week. Bye-bye.